The most unusual friendships have developed between human beings and animals. These pictures show how a full-grown lion embraces and caresses a woman through the bars. The lion's name is Jupiter, and he is embracing his rescuer, Mrs. Ana Torres. Mrs. Torres saw the emaciated lion in a circus in Colombia and purchased his freedom. At home, she fed the lion until he was healthy again. Jupiter loves it most of all when his rescuer scratches his stomach and sings him to sleep with a children's song for his midday nap.
Este es mi niño, este es mi nene, mi nene bonito, mi nene precioso, este es mi nene, mi nene hermoso.
Friendships with tigers, lions, and leopards are rare, but they do exist. Everyone knows that normally so-called predators are skeptical of people or even hostile toward them and can be dangerous. If while still young the so-called predator has positive experiences with people who raise it or care for it, then it often acts in a different way than usual. It begins to trust the person and acts, also when it's older, like a friend and not like a dangerous predator. And the concept that predators definitely have to eat meat apparently is not irreversible. The so-called spaghetti lioness named Leah at the Lion Park in Krügerdorp near Johannesburg became well known. She didn't want to eat anything other than spaghetti, potatoes, and vegetables. This is what she got to eat when young, and it tasted so good to her that she didn't want anything else. Above all, no meat. And another lioness called Little Tyke avoided meat since birth. When she was taken to a butcher and a piece of raw meat was held in front of her nose, she turned away in disgust. This lioness was also unusual in other ways. It is said that she became the protector of smaller animals such as lambs, chicks, and other young animals, which she held carefully between her paws and protected against everyone. Television became aware of her, and a documentary about the lioness, Little Tyke, was shown on the TV show You Asked for It with Art Baker. Before running cameras, Art Baker opened a Bible and read the text by the prophet Isaiah. Then the wolf shall live with the lamb, and the lion shall eat straw like the oxen. But the unusual behavior of other animals is sometimes totally amazing. For example, the story of a live dolphin, which had a fishing line wound tightly around a fin that was cutting into it, tormenting and hindering it a great deal. The intelligent dolphin knew very well that it couldn't help itself, and that only a human being would be capable of liberating it from the painful line. It bravely nudged a diver, who was amazed by this behavior. At first, he didn't understand what the dolphin wanted from him. The transparent line was hardly visible. Then he saw the problem and freed the dolphin from its torment. He even had to resort to using a knife, which didn't irritate the animal at all. So great was its trust in its distress. Such impressive reports cause many people's image of animals to waver, and they begin to wonder, do animals also have feelings and sensations? Should people rethink their attitude and behavior toward animals? Is the aggressive behavior of predators or the wild animals' fear of human beings merely a program that has built up over thousands of years and that can be changed? Also in our northern latitudes, there are fascinating experiences with wild animals that demonstrate that friendship between the so-called wild animals and human beings is possible. For example, in the village of Katzhütte in East Germany, 2 deer, stags with huge antlers, took a daily walk through the village together. They visited the people in their homes hoping to get something tasty to eat. The stags obviously felt well among the people, and the village inhabitants were happy with their extraordinary guests. This continued for several years with no problem. But the hunters and the mayor considered the situation too suspect, and they wanted to end it. However, the animals sensed this and changed their territory for a while. But one day the game warden surprised them and tranquilized one animal called Paul and took it to an animal park where it soon died. The other deer, Peter, was able to escape, but then, it is assumed, fell victim to a hunter because of its magnificent antlers. In any case, it was no longer seen. It is even possible to make friends with wild foxes, as the case of Günther Schumann demonstrates. When one day in the woods he encountered a young female fox by chance, he had no idea that this would become a profound friendship that would last over 11 years. Every year the vixen led her 2-legged friend to her den and showed him her young. Every year, Günther Schumann spent many weeks with his fox family. Sometimes there were downright family reunions with several generations of foxes. He had known most of them since their birth. All of them trusted him and had lost their fear of him. However, when they perceived a noise made by another human being, they disappeared in the wink of an eye. One wonders how such a phenomenon, such a friendship with wild animals is possible, since until now it is believed that this in particular is in contradiction to nature. Perhaps we should first ask ourselves, what are wild animals afraid of at all? What is the reason that they flee before human beings? Many people think that the fear of people of wild animals is natural, and it has always been this way. They think there is no deeper reason for this because, after all, it's in the animal's nature. When they no longer showed this fear, then the thought was that this is unnatural and the animals must be sick or disturbed and should be killed. A young fox that visited a kindergarten in Würzburg and to the children's delight took a nap in a flower pot was caught by a veterinarian who had been quickly summoned and was soon put to sleep. An animal that has lost its fear of people has to be killed according to the rabies law, he told a journalist. However, it was determined afterward that the animal was totally healthy. It was killed merely because it was not afraid of the children. But is it at all true that wild animals have always been afraid of human beings, and is it normal that they run away from them? Here, opinions differ widely. There are observations that show that fear of the wild animals of human beings is not at all normal. In regions where there have never been human beings, for instance, and thus the animals have never been chased and hunted, they often demonstrate a totally different behavior. For example, when the nature filmmaker Andreas Keeling explored the uninhabited regions of northern Canada, a curious wild fox frequently visited him. It was very tame, had no fear, and checked out all his luggage. Bears and other wild animals also crossed his path very normally and nearby, apparently without taking special notice of him. They felt no danger from him. These animals had never gotten to know human beings who have insidious intentions to hunt and kill animals. And it's a fact that in national parks where no animals have been shot for generations, it can be seen that the animals' flight behavior changes from year to year as their safe distance to people becomes smaller and smaller. This means that when animals experience and sense that people do not want to stalk and kill them, they are less and less afraid of them. And Günther Schumann with his foxes, as well as the deer, prove that wild animals have nothing against proximity to and friendship with people. Yes, they even enjoy it when they are approached with positive intent. However, the human being must first regain their trust in him. That would mean that people would have to learn to respect all life. Respect and justice should be shown to the animals. No more exploitation, no painful mutilation through legally required ear tags, so as to identify the animals like an object. No more shutting them up in dark, stinking prisons. No more torture and killing. The human beings should also return to a purely vegetable diet, ultimately to a vegan lifestyle. Millions of animals are also tortured and killed for the leather, for shoes, and for their pelts. Of course, there should no longer be any hunting of animals. Instead, the animals would themselves, as is inherent in them, ensure a balanced population density. That this works can be observed in national parks already today, where there is no hunting and the animals are left in peace. And the farmer could, for instance, not fence in part of his crop, thus seeing to the well-being of the wild animals, not as a gift, but as a matter of fact, because it is their due. But all this means that people have to change their thinking. We should feel remorse for our barbaric behavior. Efforts should be undertaken that not only show the willingness to make amends to the animals, but actions should also follow. We have to give the cattle, the swine, poultry, fish, and all animals the same care and respect that we give, in part, to our house pets, the dogs and cats. The Earth's atmosphere should again be permeated with the peaceableness of human beings. Then the animals could change again. They would again trust human beings, and bit by bit lose their fear of them. They would again seek our proximity. The earth could be a paradise again. In the village of Katzhütten, one could see how they went from house to house to greet the people, how joyfully they reacted to the post lady whom they met on the village street every morning and who always had a treat for them. And as incredible as it seems, they stood in line at the bakery truck like human beings, as these pictures show, and when it was their turn, they got a fresh roll. The children also had great joy in them. This picture shows a new vision of the coexistence of human beings and animals. It shows that the vision of the prophet Isaiah could be possible. He said that a time will come in which no ravenous beast will be found. Even cows and bears will graze together in the pasture, and their young will lie together. And the lions will eat straw like the oxen. That's what the prophet Isaiah saw in his vision. Humankind has this in hand, that is, it depends on every single one of us.